All right, fellow Earthlings, welcome to Third Rail Politics. We're going to go over a lot of stuff. We're going to actually talk about the Cran burning this time. So all of you people that checked out my last video, I apologize. This time we're actually going to do it. And we got lots to talk about. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Third Rail Politics. I'm here with my friend Perry. Hey Perry.
Hey.
This is Perry from the Genesee County Compassion Club, and I was on his show earlier today. And since they were nice enough to let me be on here, me and Perry were having a great discussion outside. And I thought we'd just carry it right along and bring it on inside and see how it goes.
It's good to be here to be able to do the show, and I'm not representing anybody. I'm just no company.
This is just Perry.
And yeah, it's just me sitting here having a conversation. I think it's really cool. So.
Yeah, well, we talk quite often after the show. It's one of the best parts about when my time slot is first off that I got to come after you guys, and you guys have a great following, which I think helps my show. And I actually asked to come after you guys because I was hoping to suck off some of your people.
Well, I mean, I think the key to that show is truthfully that Jeremy really likes. You get a lot of people from the Compassion Club watching, and then other people from different places and throughout the country and stuff. And I think it's just the fact Jeremy really believes in what he talks about and works very deeply within it. And same thing with Eric. And obviously, I believe in it too, or I wouldn't be talking about it.
I love you showing this. Everybody knows I am a marijuana advocate myself. So, but this is a rare opportunity for you because you get to talk about. Normally, I mean, you guys pretty much focus on the marijuana issue. So this is your opportunity, Perry, to talk about all things political on the national level.
Yeah. I'd like to see what you got in mind here.
Okay, let's start off with on the last show I touched just barely on the Quran burning. And we have this minister that wanted to burn a Quran. He wanted to have a burn the Quran day. Mm-hmm. This is a minister that had a whopping 50 people in his congregation. And I got to tell you, I'm blown away how this guy ever got any news to begin with.
Well, first of all, because it was a hot topic, and thankfully none of the other pastors were doing stupid crap like that.
Well, except for that guy from the West Bureau Baptist Church that's having the soldiers are creating gay people or whatever the hell it was the guy said.
Exactly. But I mean, for the most part, at least, it sounds like this guy, it started out as something where, he's got a congregation of 50 people, so he's making money off 50 people. And
how much could that possibly be?
Maybe enough to pay rent and get some food. It's a working gig. And so he's in, and he starts to do this, and obviously it picks up steam. If the local station picks it up, and then that makes the news wire, everybody's going to tune into it, and that's just the way it works. And it was interesting to me though. The comparison was made. I'm curious because we have so much time with the show, but. Is that
we got tons of time.
I'm not, and I'm not against any type of it really. I think honestly, most religion is full of it. I think that there's a comfort zone that it gives people, allows people to feel. I've been in times of despair where I've kind of like thought God or God this, God that, and that's cool, that's fine. But don't give me a whole list of rules with it, make my life miserable in the process.
Do you think do you think this was a freedom of speech issue?
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, of course. Freedom of speech is I was thinking about today how, like, for example, like, you're limited on what you can say even like going through an airport or something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's directly, and that's even in commercials. You notice how they put things in commercials to get people to conform to certain things? Like a lot of commercials now have like
the Trident gum.
They have airport screeners.
4 out of 5 dentists. I mean, if you don't like Trident, you're on the wrong side of things. Who is this fifth dentist?
A lot of this heavy stuff, to give you a little history on my opinion,
there.
Some of this heaviest stuff in the last 6 or 7 years with propaganda, I thought one of the biggest things in a hip-hop culture, and then people started growing up with it, is when, I think it was, what election was that? It was Hillary Clinton. and it was basically, it was like, what was it, 2004, 2006. Anyways, they had the Vote or Die campaign, and they're
Yes.
running it on MTV. Puff Daddy, Al Franken's over there being a part of that and telling people vote or die. Like, really, in America, it was so disgusting to me. Al Franken sickened me after that, to tell you the truth, to be part of Vote or Die and to see Hillary Clinton and real politicians.
Al Franken lost me at Stuart Smalley.
Real politicians who are nothing but third-rate actors like Ronald Reagan, nothing but a third-rate actor. He was a cowboy, okay? And Hollywood, I think, was owed a favor for him to even get that spot. He always had people next to him prompting him. Take a look back at the video and rewind.
Ron Reagan had an interesting little comment that he made. Somebody asked him at one point in time, do you think it was a benefit or not to be an actor? And he said, I don't know how anybody could be president and not be an actor. Which I thought was a very telling little quote there.
Ron was, he was a speaker, and when you look at the overall situation, and I'll call him what he was a third-rate actor, but he did have the ability, though.
Please send your Ron Reagan hate mail to Perry at Genesee County Compassion Club.
No, I'm not. This has nothing to do with the Compassion Club. This has me talking about things that I think that
you can send it to the HC at live.com, and I'll forward it to Perry.
No, but
I'm just kidding. Reagan's got a lot of fans out there.
Reagan was already working up the political ladder early on, and when you look back at ideas that came up along the way, he was a big anti-socialism. And really, I have no idea what Reagan believed. He just put himself on billboards for money. And and he was this cowboy that people fell in love with, and just like Schwarzenegger. I mean, what a better way to get somebody into office than to go ahead and throw him in some action movies. And then he moves in, this Austrian guy, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Are you saying Tom Cruise has a political future?
Tom Cruise could. That's how I know that the president's like kind of a scam in a way.
He has been on Oprah, and so has Obama.
If Brad Pitt or Oprah ran against Obama, they would have kicked his ass. Okay, and that's the fact. Okay, if it was really by a popular vote and it wasn't like a sham, and it is, these are third-rate actors, and there's nothing wrong with that. They've been actors for years. It's theater. That's the way the world works. Okay, there has to be a storyline, or everybody would walk around in a stupor.
All right, come on. I'm going to reel you in. We got to get back to the Quran thing.
We're talking. We went from Reagan to that. Okay, we're talking about third-rate actors. Oh, we're talking, and that led off from the television thing, and how basically it develops ratings, and it develops a controversy that.
So you think this was more or less just a storyline that the media, mass media, picked up on, and they said, "Hey, people are interested in this. Let's run on it." Like some of the other things that, frankly, you wonder why people care about, like Michael Vick fighting dogs or whatever. I mean, something strikes a chord with people. Like Kate Gosselin or something like that. We're very voyeuristic people. We like bizarre stories, and the idea of somebody burning the Quran is, and I made a joke on your show. I brought in a little fake. It was a fake joint, and I said it was made out of the Quran.
I was hoping it was real.
Just out of curiosity, would you have smoked that if it was an actual page of the Quran?
No, because John has a non-smoking rule in here, so and he ruins it for everybody when he does that.
So it wouldn't have had a thing to do with it being the Quran.
No.
And then
I wouldn't have cared at all.
And then I followed that up by saying that that it wasn't really a page out of the Quran, that it was actually a page out of the Bible.
Okay.
Now do you think that makes a difference though? I mean, should it make a difference?
No, here's the deal and here's the truth. Okay, like I said, I mean, truthfully, I don't have a problem with most religions because it gives them a storyline and it gives people a sense of purpose. When you got billions of people on a planet, they certainly have to have some purpose. So I really don't have a big problem with either of them. I think the difference is, and I think a lot of cultures have just faced a lot of turbulent times rolling into the time that we're in now. And when you take a look over there, I think the difference is, though, if they would have burned the Bible over there,
and they do, by the way.
Yeah, I know they always do, but we don't go over. Well, I don't know. We're kind of at war with them right now. So
they go farther than that. They actually burn churches.
Well, okay. Well, okay. That's
and I
true.
mean, historically speaking, the Christians have done some, the Crusades, which was actually the response of the Muslim incursion, which a lot of people don't seem to understand.
Now, but seriously though, wasn't that where like I don't even know.
There's about 40 years that divide the two.
Right, but isn't that where the cross symbol came from? Was when the Spanish came over and they were just basically murdering down the Aztecs. I mean, isn't that how? I mean, that's the way I've read history.
John's good at theology. Where did the cross originate from?
I mean, I'm sure that has background symbolism, but wasn't it brought over to the Americas by the Spanish?
well, no,
Turn yourself up a little bit, John.
Yeah.
the cross, I mean, is a symbol of Christianity.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of a foggy area because they don't know when that actually became a symbol of Christianity.
Would
You
seem
know,
like
before that it was the fish.
Well, I
That
mean, it
was-
would have been the crucifix, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's like they can't overlook the obvious there. I mean, let's face it, that was the instrument of torture and death
Yeah.
for the Savior in Christian religion. So, but see, before that there was it was an underground religion, so they had to have secretive signs to designate where they're meeting at. And a lot of times it was the fish symbol. You've probably seen the back of.
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah.
Because Christianity obviously sprouted out of Judaism. So I hear people say that different ways, but if that's the case, what was the symbol for Judaism before there was Christianity?
Actually, they really didn't have one. Though
Was it the Star of David?
They
or-
actually came about later, and that's also the reason why is that basically a lot of other religions have used that. It's kind of like magical groups and stuff that use that as a motif. So the Star of David they call it the Star of David, but that's really kind of foggy too.
Well, symbolism means a lot.
Yeah, but they
it
don't know where
always
that
has.
comes from. The origins of that's really. I could lay out like 2 hours of history about why some people think it came about, but none of it's conclusive of why the Star of David has become associated with the state of Israel.
It doesn't have anything to do with the Pentagon.
No, and I don't think so. I don't think so.
A pentagram, I mean, pentagram.
Oh no, the Pentagon.
Or the Pentagon. Don't get Perry started on the Pentagon.
No, not at all. Because
we have to get
it's
away
another
from that one.
No, it really.
All right, thanks, John.
It really needed when they designed that. It needed to have 7 sides to it. It really did, or it just wouldn't have been. Well, it wouldn't have been the Pentagon. Would it have been?
It would have been harder to hit with a plane.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
It would have been. They had to limit the amount of sides so it'd be easier to hit the.
Well, if it was,
I'm harassing
if it would
Perry
have
here.
been
You
a
guys,
tower, it would have
this
just
is an
fell
inside joke
down.
between us.
Yeah, it would have just fell down. So that was another one of those situations. That was the day where actually, when you look at the crime scene photos of that,
Oh, I got him started
well,
on
you've
it.
heard, no, but you've heard of the concept of the rapture and stuff, which is another scare tactic. But the concept is that day there was actually a rapturing of planes because there seemed to be no plane there.
There was
that's why I think-
there was interesting
no,
and loose change
this
because,
is-
and I just want to
yeah.
take one quick second on that
Yeah.
loose change because oddly
No,
enough
this
they
is why Islam is pissed. Okay, this is why they're pissed because a war was started and they started bombing serious shit over there very hard on them. Let me finish on this.
No,
one.
wait a minute.
Let's find out whether they're pissed. Let's find out when
Okay,
they're really pissed.
go ahead, go
So
ahead.
they don't believe. They think the towers are a conspiracy. Okay, they think somebody else.
this is not the direction I wanted to go in,
this
but,
is
but
okay.
let's go.
Okay, let's go ahead. But let's find out why they're pissed. Though.
Okay.
Why are they pissed?
It goes back to Ishmael and Isaac.
Okay, all right. But why are they pissed recently? Why would they even come after the United States? Very few times throughout the 1980s or 1990s, with the exception supposedly of a few different incidents in New York and other places, they really weren't targeting us at all. And then all of a sudden these bombs drop, these buildings drop in whatever way, shape, or form. Building 7 had 2 floors on fire, by the way, folks. So if you've ever seen a building fall from being on fire from 2 floors that is that tall or that big. Anyways, and I know you don't want to go on that topic, but I'm going to tell you why they're pissed, because they see this theater play out on television. All right? And then all of a sudden, all these people now hate their country. And you notice in American cinema, hey, and I understand, but they started putting that in movies, terrorist-type ideas with Denzel Washington and other actors back in the 90s and things like that before this happened. A lot of things happen in art before they ever happen in real life.
You know, I've long suspected that this was all because of Denzel Washington.
Well, they put over, in that movie, they put over terrorism as exciting. I don't know how other Americans really feel about it. I really don't go around and ask them, are you scared of, the Middle East and what they do?
Well, no, Americans aren't. Americans are
know-
very isolated. We don't really fear anything, and it's one of the reasons why we react so horribly when we do get attacked or anything happens, is because we're not used to it. We're very
Yeah.
comfortable. We sit here. We've already been 9 years running without an attack, and which is amazing in itself. And we really don't. We get in our comfort zone, and we start to think that absolutely nothing can happen to us. And when it does, we freak completely out. I mean, it's almost like we need a good month of just calming the F down. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. Think about this.
That's really good, actually.
And I was talking to you about this earlier. I believe myself within the next 20 years. Perry asked me an interesting question before we came in, and he says, "What do you think is going to happen in the next 20 years?" And I'm totally blank, because to be honest with you, it's changing by the minute, so it's almost impossible. I'm still trying to predict the November election, so it's very tough. But one of the things I did tell him is that I do believe a nuclear weapon will go off within the next 20 years. You people will see it. And the funny part about it is, when you think about it, what the hell are we going to do, Perry, after the weapon goes off? What is our plan? We know it's going to happen sooner or later, but I don't know what our plan is. Are we going to just react and start blowing everybody off the face of the earth?
It's because the plan wasn't written right. It's not in our book at all, or in our religion, or anybody else, or not too many of them anyway. Maybe Scientology,
it could be Armageddon.
maybe
if you really want to look at
Scientology
it.
or something like that. No, but what I'm saying is that it's not written that, hey, people will go to Mars, people will travel to many of the billions of planets and create maybe not a perfect universe, but it'll start to expand and maybe become better in many different ways. Knowledge will, supersede, and there'll be new seedlings that'll come along, blah, blah, blah. And we have such a limited storyline. We've got a whole universe. We've got this showcase in the sky, and it's like nobody ever looks up at it or talks about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
You got to watch Star Trek to get your mind stimulated to look up at the sky. What the F, man?
I have to admit, I'm a Trekkie.
Sure.
I'm a geek at heart. I know that's probably shocking everybody out there, but
When I was 5 or 6, I remember, well, I saw some cool stuff as a kid, but I can say one thing that I remember seeing on TV was the space shuttle launch. And when I was a kid, I didn't know at what level or what stage of development that was at. I just remember looking at it and thinking, well, I assume that they were already flying to the sun or something like that. I didn't know how the sun
Flying
worked.
to the sun.
No, but I assumed that they were probably already moving about and around, and to find out that all it was politics and disagreements that really held the whole species behind for so long. It's quite the amazing show, I'll tell you that.
It is an absolutely amazing show, and some of the things that come out of it. I mean, just the fact that it was so diverse, or the original Star Trek, and when you look at the crew, and I mean, they had the first interracial kiss. Did you realize that?
Well,
Yeah, it was Lieutenant Uhura and Captain Kirk was the first interracial kiss on TV.
okay, yeah, it was the Brady Bunch was the first man and woman in bed, I think, on TV.
Yeah, and I mean, so there was some amazing firsts with them guys, and a lot of the stuff that they look for. Has anybody besides me realized just how much? I'm sure that this looks like a communicator. It was on Star Trek. Well, I mean, people look at it. It's exactly what they were pulling out of their pockets back then.
It's very cool. I mean, I've always thought that, and there's nothing wrong with this. Having work being done behind the scenes, because that's how things are built. Better vehicles and better technology, hopefully, and all the rest of it, and so it's. Without going too deep into my thought about it, I would say that beyond anything of what I've said, I do believe that, seriously though, in life there has to be, a variety of storylines, because and here's why I am saying that, because when you're dealing with 7 billion people and people coming in and out every day of the show, that if you don't have enough, it gets bland, it gets boring. People wouldn't even want to be here. It's amazing that even among times where there's a lot of chaos, and really, honestly, since I was born, I've felt threatened right from the start. With the end of the world, they couldn't even give me a few years just to fake it out and think that I could live forever. And assholes.
So you were like 3 and already telling your parents, "I said this is freaking me out. I'm getting excited."
Honestly, I'll break character. Sure, I'll be honest about it. I cannot believe I'm revealing, but it. I do. I remember like saying to my parents, I couldn't believe in the concept of it when I was like, I think I was about 4 and a half. My grandpa died or something, and it was anxiety started right away. And then of course, and another reason why people dislike religion, because they're threatening us with hell and things like that. A place nobody had been to. That I'm aware. No, a place that people that had not been to. They had never seen the main character involved. There is nothing like creating something out of nothing. It is a beautiful thing because it baffles people. But that is the amazing thing that they did. They created the boogeyman, the good guy. What bothered me within the religion, what's not in
Is
Islamic,
that a natural, though? I mean, is it natural for us to always think in a dichotomy? I mean,
What-
whenever we think
But
of
why is
good,
there
why
nothing
don't
in
we
the middle?
automatically think of bad?
Why is there nothing in the middle? If somebody said, hey, the pair, when I'm younger, if somebody said, hey, the pair, if you're like 92% good and the pressure's off. You don't have to do it the whole way. No hell's going to come your way, and everything's going to be okay. If there had just been something nice, instead we get these old stories from like back from who knows how many hundreds of years ago. You know, history books and textbooks are being changed right before our eyes today, and you're going to ask me to believe something that was written that long ago, and to really like, and you don't know how tongue-in-cheek it is. A lot of these were English writers. The last book, Revelations, was written in the 1400s. About the time you could script something like that out.
I touched on that. I touched on that on my last show, Perry. I was talking about how I think we're approaching the new dark age because we're digitizing books, and you actually have universities and you have Google that are being very selective about what books they're allowing to continue. They're eliminating right now. They're eliminating books, and you know for a variety of reasons. And I'm not sure that's necessarily a good idea. It's not a book burning. It's a book. It's more like a book shredding.
Well, you know, all that would have to happen, truthfully, well, I just might as well say it, is that whether it's money or whether it's information online or whatever else, I mean, you have certain solar power, there's certain backups and things like that. But the bottom line is if they shut off the juice or click delete on the main switch, if there's that ability, then that's it. And I'm a huge fan of keeping books in print. And of course, honestly, putting them on hemp paper because it's a lot more durable, or maybe in other forms of knowledge, you know, where you can store knowledge and things like that.
Well, I think there are people that are just like during the Dark Ages when people did keep, you know, some books. So there are people that are always going to keep books. I mean, you know, it's like trying to get rid of guns.
Yeah, they will.
You know, 5 minutes after they outlaw guns, I'm going to lose mine in some river duck hunting.
But this isn't new. I mean, they went into Egypt.
Supposedly. Actually, it will happen in case you guys ever pass that law.
They've gone into Egypt and so many other cultures, and just basically they would have a lot of the stories and history and maybe some of the meanings and maybe clearer meanings and definitions, so it'd be easier to understand. And all those, of course, were broken off, and a lot of that knowledge is destroyed. And then you look at even what the Americas used to be here. The Aztecs and whoever, they claim to be here for over 30,000 years. You go to a casino and you ask a true Indian, and I'm just part Cherokee, but you go and ask them, and you tell them the world's 6,000 years old, they'll laugh in your face. You know,
absolutely.
anybody who from Africa, you know, the good majority of them, if you tell them the world is 6,000 years old, they will laugh in your face because they have real history. In a bow to my Christian friends and my religious friends, I mean, I think that you're extrapolating that they're thinking of in the biblical sense of years being a year like we're looking at. It's like saying the earth was created in 7 days. What's a day when you don't even have light yet? Right. I think believing in stupidity, though, really promotes it, and I think it's very dangerous for a world. And when you believe in stupid things on a continuous basis, how far is this going to go? I mean, you know, I saw isn't it our fundamental right to believe in stupid things? Of course it is. Because as soon as you say that, you kind of put a brand on it, and and what I consider to be stupid might not be what you consider. So it's that. The truth is, I love Christian. I love any of the different people out there because I know that no matter what I say on this show or any other show, it will play out how it will play out. Most likely, you know, I'm not going to have that big impact in life. You're a bit of a fatalist and a nihilist. I'm not a fatalist. Well, not a nihilist, but a fatalist. I have been walking around honestly, and I used to be that way. I would have considered myself probably depressed from the age of about 9. Hard edge, like just could not get out of the funk. And then get introduced to prescription drugs right by the parents, because that was a Christian thing to do. God, I wish they would just give me a joint or two. Man. I got to tell you, if you were a depressed person, Barry, pot has done miracles with you. It's wonderful. No, because we're talking about serious issues. Because you have stepped it up considerably. Because you're one of the more happy people I've ever met. You know it's true. Because we're talking about serious issues. It's because I have such a belief that the future can be good and can be bright. And I watch my friends and I've watched my family as I've grown up through this talk about Armageddon already selling themselves out before events happen, talk about Nostradamus, predictions from the Mayans. It's like, shut the F up and just do something, make a difference in life, and quit following a script. You know, the year 2000, Y2K, got me a really cheap generator. So because after 2 weeks after Y2K ended, there was just a deluge of all kinds of generators that were for sale. I got one $750 generator right out of the damn box for $300. The guy said he started up one time to make sure it worked.
So thank God for them people. I'm telling you, and keep this in mind, Perry. In 2012, there's going to be a lot of people going to be selling their houses and all their possessions dirt ass cheap. I'm going to give you a financial tip from the hippie conservative. Buy some of that shit because you're going to be here in 2013.
And that's one.
Even the Mayans don't believe in that.
That's
believe it or
one
not.
thing, and that's been my argument for years with the Mayans. Actually, I think you may have paid me as a fatalist, and it was good humor.
Yes.
But it's been a lot of hard work, even just among close friends after growing up in very serious religion, to encourage them to say, hey, it is going to go on, and if you do work towards it, and it's just so easy to give up. I've heard people say that they'll go, mercy me, life is hard. I can't wait until the Lord comes. No, how about
life is not hard if you live in the United States. I'm sorry.
But how about if you do something about that? A prayer might work. It might, and I'm not even joking. It might put off a good karmic thing. It might have a connection with some sort of energy out there. But there's nothing like action to get something done. So I really don't have a problem with Christians or Muslim or Hindu or Jew or Cherokee or any of them. My problem is just stop killing each other.
I don't like the Wicca people.
Stop killing. I don't care.
I'm just kidding.
Just stop killing each other.
I don't even know, honestly, how much about Wicca at all.
It's just it's the stop killing each other part. It's really what happens is people get born in this
Isn't
world.
that the grand irony, though? Because most all religions have respect for life as one of their tenets.
It is.
And yet religion kills so many people. I mean, don't get me wrong. Atheism kills a lot of people too.
Sure.
I mean, you had Pol Pot, you had Stalin, but maybe Hitler, depending on how you look at it. Chairman Mao. I mean, so atheists have killed their share of people too. It's an odd notion that that both sides are so fanatic about something that is so unprovable. I can neither prove that God exists or does not exist, but yet there's people that are absolute about it, and I've never been able to understand that. Like, I'm going to kill you, or you're going to kill me over something that's basically unprovable.
They used to threaten with me that I would have to stand before God naked when I was 11 or 12. Now think about that, okay?
Oh, wow. That
just think about that.
John, do you have an amnesia pill in there?
No,
because I did just think about that.
But do you not remember that? Maybe they did.
No, I'm sure Perry's very attractive. Can you show us Perry? I mean,
in the Pentecostal,
just for fun.
In the Pentecostal church, they would tell me at a very young age, when I was a teenager, that at a certain age of knowledge, that you would stand naked before God and you would have to face all these things. Well, I'll tell you what. I will be different because I will say, I'm honest. I don't know. And as far as I know, no one else around me does either. And if they do, I hope they're pretty freaking brilliant and they should write a book. Now, if not, they need to admit, at least, because it's cool and it's honest. Are we about honesty or not? That's what I thought. Maybe it's the pursuit of happiness isn't honest.
I'm still pondering that part.
but anyways, the truth is, I don't know. And the truth is, you don't know. And the truth is,
wait a minute.
My neighbor does not know, but it does make them feel
I'm just
comfortable.
kidding.
And I do believe there's an energy, even if it's between us humans. Maybe it's 5 people that think alike. It's not fully explained in the textbook when you are born. There is no full textbook tells you exactly how humans work, how the energy works, how everything works. We're still figuring it out. So, in conclusion, I would say that in my opinion, from what I've observed, to tell you the truth, that we're still very much in a growth phase, just a tough phase.
My tagline on it has always been, Perry, that people have been preaching the end since the beginning.
Of course. It had to be very disheartening for the beginning to start and go, oh my God. What if there's an end?
We're just at the beginning. It's gonna end. There was it was like the human race was still barely standing upright, and some guy was carrying a sign going, "The end's coming."
But by looking at assumption, I don't know what's going on all the other planets. I haven't seen the oldest history books. I haven't been privy to those in my life.
Utopia. It's always better on the other side.
No, but what I'm saying is though there's some pretty clear evidence that there's a lot of room open. I would think that honestly, and in truth, they really would be creating jobs and starting to build. And these days, when you have a backup,
you're talking about aliens would be?
No, well,
other worlds.
But when you have a backup tire, when maybe you have insurance as a backup, why would you really not have a backup planet when this is the biggest thing we've got is our own existence?
Yeah, I would assume that I would take
How many jobs?
I would
Hundreds of
take the
years of
Hawking view or
jobs.
the Carl Sagan view. It's impossible for there not to be other life. I mean, it really is. It's impossible.
I think
The mathematics in it's
People-
just absolutely confirms it. I mean, it'd be far less likely not to have.
The trick is that they keep trying to sell it on a world population issue. Like all of a sudden, the whole universe is just going to fill up. I'll tell you what. When you
I've heard that. I
Yeah.
actually have a professor at the university where I work, and he says that there's a domino effect that occurs when we cross 10 billion.
No,
that
I'm
we'll
not-
be breathing out too
No.
much carbon dioxide. It'll start warming the planet.
Okay, I'll agree with
you know,
that. I'll agree with that stuff, but because it's true, it's like resources can only supply so
like
much.
farting and burping too much
But,
methane.
but the way you would think,
Apparently.
the way you would think people would do it would be to really get other things moving much faster. Unlimited budgets, not really even budgets, just at times during past like crises, businesses just go into action because the government tells them to. And to be able to start working and actually developing, and people can act goof about it or not, but they have been running space shuttle missions for years and have been either on the moon or faking launches, one or the other. So it's didn't they shoot that in Stanley Kubrick studio, and that's how Reagan actually got the nod later on. They owed him a favor.
I believe Ron was actually in that. I think he played.
But what we're talking about is really the topic.
He played Armstrong. I can't
It
remember
is
his
really the
first name.
topic what you brought up, because at the end of the day, like
Or Glenn, one of the two.
I don't feel that hard about any idea, any topic, because no matter what I say or you say, everything in everybody's life is incredibly important. We have these like wild individual lives, 7 billion people, probably about 7.5 billion people now. And to me, it's a celebration. And I know there's a lot of corporate sponsorships and stuff like that, but when you turn on a football game or when you like go out to a pro wrestling match or any of those and you see 50,000, 70,000 people spending time together, and when they're not watching the evening news and they're there being entertained and they're not being worked up by somebody who's looting them for money, and because it's like tax free and they never give anything back. Churches give back less to the people than the casinos do, okay? And that's just a fact.
The casinos actually run a very
You've got a better
unique
chance of scoring
business
there.
model, because some of the tribes now. I know one of the Indian tribes that run one of the casinos, and I can't remember exactly which one it is. I think it might be Soaring Eagle. But they were saying there was only $30,000 difference between the lowest paid guy and the highest paid guy in the casino. And I think that's amazing that they would do something like that. I always joke that casinos are a great plan because it helps the Indians buy back America.
Well,
The Native Americans. I'm sorry, guys.
I think
The Indians are not in America.
Well, under capitalistic rules.
Well, some of them are, but they're here on a visa.
Under capitalistic rules, it is kind of. It is. This is the one time where I got to be real serious. But
Don't try it with me.
but there is that idea of the fair shake that keeps happening where these things happen in the past and people keep paying for them. And we see it with the casinos a little bit. As we were talking about a little bit earlier, Israel gets about $11 to $12 million a day from the United States taxpayers.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
close to $9 billion a year. So I'm not that good at math that I can extrapolate how much that is. But yeah, it's about $9 billion a year.
I wonder how many meals that would provide, or how many new small business loans to jumpstart the economy. $9 billion a year.
Well, they would argue that you're actually starting jobs in the military complex.
Well, no, really. I mean,
Which is interesting, because actually how we got into that discussion is we were talking about whether or not they would actually try to stop. Me and John were talking before you came into the conversation that whether or not the United States is even trying to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon, because they want to have a arms race in the Middle East. That guess who's going to be selling them all the arms? So we'd be creating. I mean, we're already doing it. We send $9 billion over to Israel, and then Israel turns around and buys military.
Let's cut to
products.
the chase here. So it is a business. Bottom line, it's a business.
Everything's a business. It's
All right.
I always joke. Everything's about.
You can't be at war with them and selling them weapons too. And if you are,
Oh God, yes you can.
It's a complete work. It's a business though, so that really makes it easy for me now. I mean,
Put it this way:
Yeah,
when
it's a
the Soviet
business.
Union was in Afghanistan, they were being shot at with M16s. Now that we're over there, we're being shot at with Kalashnikovs. I mean,
How the heck are we even still on the air?
nobody knows because we're on the internet and they can't do a damn thing about it. That's why. but don't worry, they're working on it, Perry. Trust me. Right this very minute, they're working on it.
Well, I mean, a couple of important topics. If we are going to touch back on a couple of them, one of them was about everything going electronic and digital. Though, I love the concept of it. I really do.
Well, we have
I think
to.
it's
Here we
awesome.
are. Here we are.
But I really think that there should be a foolproof or close to foolproof ideas. Like when you look at the actual universe, design creation, Big Bang, or created by Inspector Gadget, don't really care because that's the past and this is now. But by evaluating the design of it, you've got basic cores and planets that are made to last a very long time. It reminds me of the Grateful Dead album, Built to Last. And I love that title, Built to Last, because not only here and in other places, we build as cheap as possible so people have to keep buying and selling, buying and selling.
It's a throwaway society.
It is. But at the tail end of it, I have to bounce back again on it and say, is it selfish not to have, and this sounds ridiculous, but to me it does, is it selfish not to have all these controversies in life? Because there are a few of us that just find the drama is just outright tedious and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I think it's human nature. In the absence of real problems, we create our own problems. Have you ever noticed the pettiness of some people's problems? Especially when you get into people that are very comfortable. Then their problems become super petty. It's like, oh, my day, I can't find the barrette I wanted for my hair. It ruined my freaking day. Meanwhile, there's some guy in Afghanistan that's running from bombed out building to bombed out building with one leg.
Well, then what do you do about that, though? I mean,
I think it's the human condition. I think we're programmed to think that way. That it's an instinctive reaction that that we have carried with us ever since we had to run from wild animals.
Well, I don't know.
That we had to be on top of our game. We had to always be concerned. We had to always be worried. Otherwise, if we weren't, we'd be killed. The people that were aware, I mean, you look at a wild animal, I hunt, and if you look at a wild animal, whether it's a bunny rabbit or a deer or whatever, and you watch them in their natural, when they don't know you're there at all, they are super alert all the time, and they're always a little jumpy. Something, an acorn falls out of a tree, the deer turns and looks. I think it's a natural condition of humans that we are not that, we always want to separate ourselves. I don't know why we do that, but we are animals.
I think in the physical world here, because we are physical, I mean, and
we hope.
Yeah.
I exist, I don't know about you.
That there was... that there would be that you would have caution pre-built, and that or not pre-built necessarily, but caution is
necessary.
Caution is there; it is necessary.
And so is fear.
Well, the drama part, but I mean, getting back to that though, because I've been trying to figure that out. But of all the people, and that's a regular question that I ask different people, especially, and this is the truth.
I'm a different person.
Yeah, but
everybody tells me so.
Well, you are, that's for sure. But what I ask him is just this: if you could have had what you would consider a perfect life, or would you rather have basically a life where you had some mistakes and went through all this? I've only had two people thus far since I've been asking this question for almost 10 years. I've only had two people tell me that they would just have a perfect life. A lot of people say that they'd rather have the drama, the adventure, and when you go back to old literature
of not knowing,
Yeah,
instead of the tedious boredom of every day being, flawless and never having a single problem.
Well, I'm not saying I'm one of those who I'd be cool trying, both of them, but
maybe for a week.
Yeah, at least see how it goes,
like a vacation in perfect land.
Right, but it is interesting, and so that's what it comes down to. I can rip on Reagan, I can rip on religion and stuff like that, but I also understand it's very clear that all this, of course, provides the wonderful color and storyline to a lot of people's lives. And I guess what I would have to say to that also is that I guess when you have a lot of people out there with a lot of good ideas, or I have a couple of good ideas, I think, and a lot of other people too. And I think for ideas like that to happen, like with even Star Trek or anything else, that if something like that is going to happen, people have to present it. So if people say, all right, well, I think in 2200, 2300, this would be a really cool idea. Well, I would say write it and see if everybody else agrees too. And
it's interesting because maybe I'm a bit of a nihilist in myself because it's so hard for me to imagine 2300. But I remember trying to think of 2000.
1700 really isn't that hard to imagine. You got to figure a lot of people didn't have baths and shower. It was probably you grew up and you were building.
I can remember not having air conditioning. And I'm not that old.
But you're born really at that time to build up a family, and a lot of the families, 10, 15, up to 20 kids or more. The old Hatfields and McCoys. You've got. I mean, you can actually kind of really picture back to that.
Yeah, but the Hatfields and McCoys were killing each other though.
And the colors.
So they needed to have a lot of kids.
And the color.
They had to turn them out. They were knocking them off one by one.
True. Well, I mean, we'll put it this
Miss
way.
Hatfield, we just ain't having kids quick enough.
I think that there probably were people in the 1700s that probably could have envisioned this. They take a look at the past from what they knew.
Oh, I don't think they
some
could.
Of this. Really?
No, I mean, when you read George Orwell's 1984, he made, and that's an amazing book as far as looking back. I think it was 56 or somewhere around there. Actually, 48. The guy came out with it, and he made some amazing visions of what the future would be like. I mean, did he have a clue? No, because I think it's 1,000 times worse than George Orwell would have ever thought. As far as the ability that they have to spy on us, the ability they have to the cell phones, they can pick them up they can pick up your sounds. There's no wiretapping when it comes to a cell phone. Your computer, you got a wireless connection on your computer. Anybody from around here can pick it up. I mean, they can bounce laser beams off of your window and listen to your conversations. There was a really interesting, in a privacy issue, there was a really interesting little event that happened in the township where I was at, and I got interested in local government because I love politics, obviously.
Sure.
And I started going to some local government meetings, some township hall meetings, and they had an issue that was going on where this guy had been running a business out of his garage. He was doing a lawnmower business. And what had happened was this lady that was next door, they lived around a lake, and they decided that they couldn't pump their sewage in the lake no more because apparently that's bad.
Right.
So they decided that they had to, instead of having septic fields, which would leach into the lake, they had to join on to this big sewer drain that was going all around it. Well, her property was built in such a way that she had two choices: either rip up her driveway, which was the only point that reached the road, or she had to go across this guy's property. The guy said, yeah, you can go ahead and go across my property, but if I ever want you to pull it up, then you're going to have to pull it up. So she didn't like that. So she wanted him to sell him the property. He wouldn't do it. So she got really mad, and she turned him in for running a business out of his garage. Long story short, the guy didn't comply, and she decided she wanted to spy on this guy. And it became a big event in my little small town community. And she bought all this equipment, Perry. And I mean, like, the little sound dishes that they listen to the football players and stuff like this, and a little laser beam that bounced off the window, video recording and everything else. And this guy tried to file charges. And the end result, because I got so interested, I started following in the paper. The end result is your privacy ends at your property line. Which is bizarre to me, because that means that somebody can pick up your cell phones legally. They can listen to your conversations in your house legally. They can use infrared to watch you dress and undress legally. I mean, honestly, I'm beginning to think we seriously need an amendment to the Constitution that guarantees privacy, because there is nothing there.
Once again, you take a look at the situation you're talking about, and you refer to George Orwell's book, and he, once again, they went ahead and wrote it before it happened, and everybody went along with it.
A lot of it was awful.
It's amazing, though, when people keep writing that bad things are going to happen 40 years ahead, and they don't interpret it like, hey, maybe I should do something. Maybe I should do something about that. I don't know.
I don't think they're that sure that it's going to happen. That's the problem.
I don't think so either. But I think there's a lot of, and like I said, today was just a day where in truth, I've got friends of all different types of beliefs and stuff. But it's a nice feeling to be able to take a shot at Reagan, who introduced me to the war on drugs. I did take a shot at religion, who introduced me to the concept of the devil before rock and roll music and television ever could. And so, I do have to take a shot.
The concept of playing all my rock albums backwards to see what they had to say.
But once again, though, somebody else would argue again, if there wasn't a certain repression within religion, would there even be the adventure of sneaking around to,
Sure.
I remember my first kiss. I was sneaking around to get my first kiss, and it was actually
I do too. It was last week.
It was yours last week?
Yeah, I saw it. That girl was ugly, Perry. I got to tell you. But you gave it to her, though.
Mine was in.
I was Perry's very suave.
I was a young Romeo. I was 5 years old. I remember who I kissed, and I remember we both laughed and giggled.
You want to out him?
No. Do you really want me to go into religion even harder? Right here on your show?
I'm just harassing Perry. Perry is so suave, man. I mean, you probably get tons of girls, actually, right?
I don't really know if I have to,
You don't want to get into that?
No, you see what that does for other people. It doesn't seem to be like a system. So, I would say, once again, I'm a big fan of life. That's all I can say. I mean, to me, the thing that keeps me going through it beyond any depression and all that, and truthfully, to finish up that other story real quick. So I was introduced to prescription drugs at kind of a young age. In my 20s, working in television, doing all
Ritalin?
that. Just about all types. They would push anything. It was amazing how many different drugs they
tried to
pushed
put
at
me on Ritalin. You want to hear interesting little sidebar? When you were talking about when you were a kid, so
Yeah.
I just want to throw this in. When I was a kid, I didn't speak until I was 3 years old. Everybody finds that shocking. My dad used to joke that I didn't speak till I was 3, and I haven't shut up since.
I can feel that one.
And my family actually took me to a psychologist because they thought I might be retarded. Mentally disabled. I'm sorry, that's not the politically correct term.
Honestly, for me, I think I hit my wall about 27, 28, and then maybe 29. But whatever the case would be, and just one day it just clicked in my head. It's like, wow, I finally understood the concept of happiness and why it needed to be attained. And it was, at first it felt kind of faux because, you grow up in this dramatic society, theatrical writers, and it's easy to get caught up in the storylines of life, of course. And then all of a sudden I decided that, and I could tell that it was hurting me physically and that it was causing stress in my back and pain in my back and all that.
Stress
I guess
is incredibly bad.
So obviously, no matter who or what I've criticized or theorized on this show, obviously there's a general understanding that we're all human,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You remind me of my favorite Albert Einstein quote, and that is that that you can live in a positive universe or a negative universe, but it is indeed your choice. And I think that's very crucial. But let me just I want to bring in a friend of mine here, Perry, and this has been so fun. The 45 minutes went just like that, man. But
that's right. We started at 4:30 and
yes.
it was 5 o'clock.
Yeah, so it's hard to believe we've already been at this.
That must have been that break between shows.
But it was so fun, and I want to stress one of the points that you made because I believe with all my heart, and this will bring everything home that we've been talking about so far with the Muslims, with the burning, and the Christians, and the difference in the political parties and everything. I honestly believe this with all my heart. The diversity that we have in this country has always been our strength. If there's one thing that despite all the things that we've done wrong in this country, to literally butcher ourselves. Despite all that, the reason that we've always been as successful as we are is that we have this huge vat that we can reach in and grab a variety of ideas, a variety of opinions, and these homogenous societies that are overseas, they don't have it. They don't have it. It is our strength in people. I mean, always try to respect other people's opinions. Always respect other people's cultures. Always respect other people's religions. Don't stereotype anybody because we are an amazing species, and we're Americans as a group, the mongrels of the world, and we are the most diverse people on the face of the earth.
And
it is our strength.
That is the proof to me that we, and it's not exact proof, but it is the proof to me that we'll be moving on further, obviously, with the storyline for quite some time because, not only are there all the other planets and talking about the space stuff, but truthfully, America is an idea that has all these different types of people, different beliefs and everything. And like we said, there's peace usually when they're not getting riled or worked up, they can handle living among diversity. And the U.S. is really an idea that has not fully blossomed yet. It's not even close.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thanks again, Perry, for showing up on my show.
It's been a pleasure.
I really appreciate it, man. And you are welcome here anytime, my man. And I'll meet you outside later, okay?
He scripted it all.
All right, that was Perry from the Genesee County Compassion Club, and I want to thank him very much for showing up on my show. This is Third Rail Politics, and now I'd like to bring in a friend of mine, and this young lady, and in the spirit of diversity, I'm going to bring Lesa in. Lesa is a friend of mine that I have known for a long, long time, and apparently she's some kind of a fan of Sarah Palin because she's wearing an Alaska T-shirt today. Come on in, Lesa, and have a seat. Yay! Come on in, Lesa. What's happening? Put on the headphones and let's see what you got going on in your head here today.
Well, Joe,
Get up close to the microphone and let all the good people. What? Let me set you up here.
All right, set me up.
Okay.
Set me up.
Lisa's going to be another one of our talk show hosts, and she's going to be doing a program that is going to be focusing on what, Lisa?
Well, we're going to have hot topics. We're not going to do any politics. I'm going to leave that to you. We're going to be doing hot.
You can come on my show if you want to talk politics.
I'm going to come on your show, but I ain't talking politics. I'm coming on. We're going to talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Actually,
I'm married, so I don't know much about the first one.
Yeah, after you've been married so
No,
long, I
I'm
think
just
you kind of
kidding.
forget about
I'm
it.
just kidding. We have a wonderful, wonderful sex life.
Oh, do I want to hear that, my virgin
Yes.
ears? Damn, I think I'm blinded.
I have.
My eyes.
Lisa, I have pictures if you want.
Well,
No,
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
tell
kidding.
you,
I'm just kidding.
I created a monster in my show. I'm having titles like internet dating and interracial dating and sex and dominatrix. I'm gonna bring my whip in. I'm gonna bring my flashlight. Everything. You name it, it's gonna be wild. So everybody's gonna have to turn in. It's gonna be on a Tuesday and it's gonna be at noon. We just don't.
Back in on this show. We're
bringing Perry back in.
We're talking about politics and all that other garbage. We're not going to be talking about the whips and flashlights.
Perry wants me off of the seat.
I mean, I'm gonna put him on my show. He's gonna have to come in, and we're gonna do some dominatrix tricks on everybody. I'm gonna bring my mask so people won't really know who I am.
I wasn't sure, but did Perry have an erection?
Did you feel something against your back?
Yeah.
I
didn't
thought
know.
I saw something, but I wasn't
didn't
gonna
know.
say anything.
I don't know. You were saying flashlight, and I thought he had one in his pocket.
He was just happy to see you.
I think it was you, Lisa. I think it was you.
That must be, but Perry, I'm gonna have you on my show, baby. Don't worry about it. But I'm looking forward to this. It's a new adventure. It's one of my many things I'm doing since I retired. I'm trying to write a book.
Do you have a title for the book? Do you have a
Well,
working title, or are you
it's,
going to wait and see how it comes out?
Well, actually, it's my autobio, and I have a couple titles that I'm throwing out. Life Survivor, Polio and All is not high on the list, but I haven't decided exactly
You had
what.
polio.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, well, that'll probably get on there too because people want to know how flexible people are with polio.
There's a little interesting funny story about that is because I had worked with you for quite a little while.
Yeah.
And then one day you told me that you had polio and
And you were like, "What's that?"
And and you said, "Yeah, that's why I limp." And I said, "You limp?"
I remember.
And I said, "I always thought you were pimping."
That's what somebody else told me back in the 70s. They thought, well, we just thought you were cool walking. I was
I thought you just had some shit going on.
yeah, well, I got that too, baby. Don't worry about it. But, that's one of the things I wanted to do ever since, I was in my early 20s, but I figured I didn't have enough life experience to put in the book. So now that I'm 57, I figured I can add 30 more years.
You want to do pimping?
Oh, yeah.
To do
Oh, yeah.
pimping.
I'm a big pimping. Well, I'm thinking about having Hugh Hefner come on the show because he is the master pimp. And
Yeah.
Hugh, if you're listening, I want you on the show.
Now, by the way, does anybody really believe he's well, I guess there is Viagra and Cialis and everything
He
else.
said he takes Viagra, and I just don't know why he hasn't had a heart attack because he be banging 7, 8 women. And I couldn't imagine a 20-year-old on top of that. She had to be drugged out of her mind before she hit that.
It was kind of interesting because I went in to have a vasectomy because me and my wife were tired of having kids by every form of birth control.
Oh, yeah. I'm tired of seeing all them little redheads running around.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of them in there.
What's your daddy's name? George.
I know. I have more Georges running around than George Foreman.
For real. For real.
But when we went into the doctor's office and we were talking about it, the doctor leaves for a moment and he leaves me and my wife sitting in this room. And damn, Lisa, if he didn't, you would have loved this. Damn, if he didn't have an artificial penis sitting on the desk.
Well, he have to show you what he's gonna snip. That's just in case you decide to run.
No, this was for a pneumatic implant.
Oh, you mean a penile implant?
Yes.
Oh.
And so, and of course, you know me. I could
had
not
to touch it.
I could not resist this damn thing. And I'm pumping it up, and I'm letting the air out, and I'm pumping it, and I'm making statements like Pamela Anderson, Rosie O'Donnell. Pamela Anderson, Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie gonna slap you with that if you ain't careful. She probably got one bigger than yours. You better watch out.
She probably does.
But I'm just out here, like they say, I'm a squirrel trying to get a nut. I want to do as much as I can while I'm retired, and I'm gonna spend every penny I got. I don't care. I'm gonna go and see the world and do everything. So as you see, I didn't see Sarah, but I did see where she used to live, and that was a trip of a lifetime. For real.
A trip seeing where Sarah Palin used to live.
Yeah.
That would be a trip.
That was a trip. The house sat way up on the hill.
Was it a trailer park with a bunch of people fighting in front of it?
Well, that was like Bill Clinton's museum down in Arkansas. It looks like a trailer. I went online and I looked at all the other presidents' museums, and they're all nice buildings. You get the bills, it's a trailer. And I rode by going down the road. I asked my sister, I was like, what is that? She said, that's Bill Clinton's museum or library or whatever. And I said, for real? I said, that's a trailer. It had a little skirting around it. And if you go online and pull it up, it's a trailer.
Well, they definitely got their $100 million out of it then.
They got the $100 million. That must have been what it cost to build that trailer, because I had never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of museums, and I had never seen anything like it. But, he's like a country boy.
Well, one of my jobs, I had to go down to Ann Arbor, and it just so happened that Gerald Ford, this was back when Gerald Ford was alive, and down in Ann Arbor is where the Gerald Ford Museum, our presidential library,
Right.
is. And I was driving a very nondescript van.
That say University of Michigan
No,
flag.
it didn't even say that on it at the time. It didn't say anything on it whatsoever. And and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just saw a bunch of limos and everything else, and I thought, well, it must be the president of the university or something like that. And I drove right up to the library because I had a delivery for it. And I mean, these guys came marching out, and it was actually, sometimes it's weird how Hollywood will parallel life so close, because they looked exactly like they did.
The black suit, the sunglasses, the
little
plug in the
thing
ear. Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything. It was exactly. And they all came running right at my van. And I'm going, what?
Get out the way.
It's like, and they got around the van. And I was like, what in the hell's
And
going
you
on?
looking around like, what? What'd I do?
And
What'd I do?
I'm rolling down the window. You know how hippies are, So
Yeah.
I'm rolling down the window real
Smoke
slow.
poured out.
Real slow. No, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean, but I feel like I'm,
You were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I am very much a black guy at heart, because
I can see that too.
Because I so much feel like I'm always guilty. I be not doing a damn thing wrong, Lisa, and I'm just guilty as I can be. And I'm rolling down this window real slow, and I'm like, yes, officer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's like, can you put your hands up on top of the, yes, sir.
No, they tell you like this. Stick your hands out the window.
Ain't no need to beat me.
Should I get the club out now? That's too much. That's too much.
They got a ruler and they're measuring my hair to see if they can beat me without getting
right.
in too much trouble.
That's right.
It's over 6 inches. We can beat the shit out of him, Frank.
Cut that ponytail off. They'll never miss it.
We'll throw a knife down next to him and a black guy.
That's right. Bring out Rodney King. Can we all just get along?
It was a hippie and a black guy.
That's all we know.
Well, you guys did good then.
That's right. Like,
Did he have-
Brownie, you did. You're damn good.
You did damn good, boy. Damn good, Brownie.
Ooh, that's too funny. But anyways, ask me the name of my show.
Yes, what's the name of your show, Lisa? Let's set it up.
It's going to be called the FLAMIN PIT Show. And I'm
FLAMIN PIT, where's that coming from?
Well, funny you should ask that, George. Because everybody always has.
I know my job, baby.
I know, you tough. People want to always throw the bad stuff in there because I'm such a bad girl. But actually, back in the 70s when I was really wild and crazy, there was a steakhouse in
As
Ann
opposed
Arbor.
to what?
Now when I'm not so wild and crazy. But I'm getting ready to get back into it. There was a steakhouse in Ann Arbor called the FLAMIN PIT. And back in the 70s, everybody had CBs and stuff. And of course, I had a CB with the long whip. And my handle was the FLAMIN PIT. I use it all the time. So it's FLAMIN PIT. What else could it be?
Absolutely.
So when I come on, my theme song is going to be Fire by the Ohio Players. And where there's flame, there's smoke.
And you're going to be the smoke?
I'm going to be the flame and
You're going to be
pit.
the flame?
I'm going to be the flame to the pit. Hell to the yeah. And look, he said 2 minutes.
Okay, so, well, Lisa, so that's the Flaming Pit, and it's going to be on Tuesdays at
12 to 1, but it's
12 to 1.
probably be a couple more weeks yet. We're working. He's got to get me some props. I got to have stuff to say. FLAMIN PIT. I got to have flames around. I got to get my disco ball, and I got to, I got to have my props.
John, has the fire inspector approved this?
'Cause for,
Do we have fire extinguishers?
Yeah, we got those.
Okay, we're good.
Because for each segment, when I come in today, I do the interracial dating. My theme is going to be Michael Jackson's black or white. It's going to be, am I black? Am I white? Yeah. And then when I do the dominatrix, I'm going to be playing Let It Whip. And I got to bring my whip, you got to crack that
whip
whip.
it good.
That's right.
Whip it good.
Well,
That'd be a good one, too.
I'm not doing Devo, but I'm going to do the Daz band. I should get Devo, too. I mean, you can whip it, and you can whip it good, and you can let it whip. 1 minute.
Okay, well, since it's 1 minute, I want to take this last minute to thank Lesa for being on my show. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to watching your show.
I'll have you on
I
the show
cannot
so
wait.
we can talk about your vasectomy some more.
I think I said all I'm going to say about that. I want to thank Flint Talk Radio. I want to thank Steve Myers and John Wilson once again for being crazy enough to put me on there. I still don't know what's wrong with you guys. And I want to thank all of you guys listening to Third Rail Politics. And thank you guys all for tuning in to me at YouTube and some of the other places. And I'm going to be posting some new music for those of you that hate my music. And I guess that's about it. Hey, Lisa?
Hey, George, we're out.
We're out. Thanks, guys.